welcome to our core knowledge lesson for Friday. This is a little bit longer, so parents, you might need to do a little bit of a break halfway in. It's a little bit longer story. We do some classic tales throughout the school year. I think we do 12 classic tales, about 2 per month, 1 to 2 per month. So the classic tale for this month is Thumbelina. The first vocabulary word is beautiful. Everybody say beautiful. Beautiful means very, very pretty. For example, the white gown looked beautiful on the princess because it sparkled with beads and sequins. Crown, everybody say crown. Crown is a shiny thing with jewels that kings and queens wear on their heads. For example, the gold crown was placed on the prince's head to make him the new king. Floated, everybody say floated. Floated means to stay on top of the water. For example, the boat floated down the river. Underground, everybody say underground. Underground means below the ground. For example, ants build their homes in underground tunnels. Okay. Boys and girls, we have learned a lot about plants. Today, we're going to hear a make-believe story about a tiny girl who grew out of a plant. You guys are going to hear about different kinds of plants and their parts in the story. So boys and girls, in the story, a woman plants a seed and a flower grows from the seed. Can you guys see the stem? What about the leaves? Do you see the leaves of the plant? What about the bud and the petals of the flower? Can a plant really grow from a seed? Yes, it sure can. Boys and girls, the plant in this picture is called a water lily. Can you say that with me? Water lily. The plant grows in water and it has a long stem that grows down to the bottom of the pond to keep it from floating away. In one part of the story, the tiny girl lives on top of a water lily leaf. Do you guys think a girl could really live on top of a water lily leaf? No, that's just silly. So the title of our story is Thumbelina. Once upon a time, there was a woman who was sad because she had no children. Seeing her unhappiness, a neighbor gave her a magical seed. The neighbor told the woman to plant the seed in a flower pot. That evening, the woman planted the seed. The next morning, she noticed that a plant had grown in the pot overnight. The plant had a flower like a tulip, but it was closed up tightly into a bud. Do you guys think, could a seed really grow into a plant in just one night? I don't know about that. What a beautiful plant, said the woman, and she kissed the flower. When she did, the petals opened wide. There in the middle of the flower sat a tiny girl no bigger than a thumb. I will call you Thumbelina, said the woman. Thumbelina lived a happy life with the woman. Hold up your thumb. This is my thumb. Do you hear the word thumb in Thumbelina? Thumbelina. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? At night, she slept in a polished walnut shell. During the day, she sailed about in a saucer of water with a tulip leaf as her boat. Then one night, everything changed. A mother toad hopped through a broken window into the house. She landed right beside the sleeping Thumbelina. What a beautiful wife she would make for my toad's son, exclaimed the mother. So she picked up the sleeping Thumbelina and carried her into the garden. Do you think Thumbelina would want to marry a toad? There, she told her son of her plans. While we prepare for the wedding, we will place her on a water lily leaf in the river. That way she cannot escape or get away, said the mother. When Thumbelina awoke the next morning, she realized she was no longer in her cozy bed. She began to cry. The mother toad and her son ignored her tears and continued with their plans. That doesn't seem very nice. But Thumbelina's cries had not gone unheard. The little fish in the river felt sorry for her. They nibbled at the lily pad stem until the leaf broke free from its roots. The leaf floated down the river, carrying Thumbelina with it. Thumbelina floated along. It was summertime. She ate wild blueberries for food. She listened to the birds chirping, and she admired the butterflies. Before long, though, summer came to an end. The weather grew colder, and soon there were no more berries for foods. The birds and the butterflies disappeared. One day, as snow began to fall, Thumbelina curled up under a mushroom. Not far away, a field mouse was gathering wood for her fireplace. When she saw Thumbelina, she said, "Oh, my poor dear, you must come home with me." How do you think Thumbelina felt when she was, when the snow started to fall? Why did the mouse invite Thumbelina to her house? Thumbelina gratefully accepted the field mouse's invitation. She spent the rest of the winter in the mouse's snug burrow, or a small hole under the ground. Every day, Thumbelina helped the field mouse with her housework, and when they were done, they sat and chatted before the fire. They became friends. Now the field mouse had a wealthy or rich neighbor called Mr. Mole. Mr. Mole became a regular visitor at the field mouse's home. One evening, Mr. Mole invited Thumbelina and the field mouse to come to his house. They accepted the invitation and followed him down a hole into an underground passageway, like a tunnel. As they moved along the passageway, they passed an injured bird lying perfectly still. "Pay no attention," said Mr. Mole. "This swallow has a broken wing. Somehow he found his way into my passageway. Nothing can be done to help him." And with that, the mole and the field mouse hurried on, but Thumbelina did not. She was worried about the hurt bird, so she stayed and stroked the bird's feathers. Suddenly, the bird moved. Why do you guys think Thumbelina stopped to pet the bird? Well, suddenly the bird moved, and Thumbelina promised the bird that she would return with food, and for the rest of the winter, that is what she did. When spring arrived, the swallow felt well enough to fly away. He asked Thumbelina to come with him, but she said no, she could not leave her friend, the field mouse. In the spring and summer months passed. It had become clear that Mr. Mole wanted to marry Thumbelina. Thumbelina did not care for Mr. Mole at all. She did not want to marry him. But her friend, the field mouse, was in favor of the marriage. She really thought Thumbelina should marry Mr. Mole. Together, Mr. Mole and the field mouse made plans for the wedding. One day, as Thumbelina sat quietly weeping, she was crying in the autumn sunshine, a dark shadow appeared. It was the swallow. "Thumbelina," said the swallow, "I am flying south to warmer places. Come with me." This time, Thumbelina agreed. She climbed on the swallow's back, and off they went. Why do you guys think Thumbelina went with a sparrow this time? Because she didn't want to marry Mr. Mole, huh? They flew for many days. Finally, the swallow landed in a lovely little spot filled with flowers. Thumbelina looked at the flower next to her. She watched the petals slowly open, and there, in the middle of the flower, sat a little man with a golden crown. He was the same tiny size as Thumbelina. Thumbelina watched in amazement as all the other flowers opened. Each flower had its own tiny person inside. The little man with the crown said, "Welcome, Thumbelina. You have found a new home at last. Here you shall be my queen." And he placed a tiny golden crown on Thumbelina's head. He fastened a pair of pale wings to her shoulders. And so Thumbelina and the king got married and lived happily ever after in the land of the flowers and the fairies. The end. What do you guys think will happen next? Those are great ideas. All right. Have a great weekend, boys and girls.